1 versus 3 in both the AFC and the NFC here. Let's stay in the AFC now. The Chiefs just won't die as the reigning defendings. They're going to go to Baltimore now. Baltimore, big second half yesterday against Houston to easily cover the number in advance. 3.5 is what I'm seeing here. Total of 45. You know, I bid on the Chiefs today and took the Bills and went against Mahomes, and I don't feel good about it now. What about next week? You're hanging a hook with Mahomes over 3. That seems like, boy, that Chiefs money's, I would think, come in early.
Yeah, I think people are going to look at that, and you're going to grab that quarterback because he is incredible. And how do you bet against him, really? Patrick Mahomes, and Eric Bieniemy told me this. He said this is probably the most fierce competitor I've come across, and that's contagious in the locker room, especially now that you're in the AFC Conference Championship game. It doesn't matter if you're in Kansas City or in Baltimore, right? That guy is going to show up, and that guy is going to bring it. And so I think the responsibility for everybody else on that team is to bring it as well. I mean, Kansas City knows what they got to do. They got to buckle up the chin strap and stop the run, or slow down the run if they can. But it is a 6 eligible proposition with Lamar Jackson and the fact that Lamar can throw the ball now, too. I think they're going to get Andrews. Likely is a dangerous tight end as well. So they have so much offense that the Chiefs are going to have to prepare for. And I don't know if the Chiefs are revved up as much as Romo suggested tonight. I really think Buffalo's depleted defensively. But again, I just can't count out Patrick Mahomes. So if you're looking for early numbers, I mean, that's a great, enticing number right there to catch those points right there at Kansas City.
Patrick Mahomes now 9-1-1 as an underdog with the win tonight. But going to Baltimore, this is a team that can run the ball, and that's what you can do. And we saw Buffalo do it tonight. They were able to run on Kansas City, and Baltimore can run with the traditional running game. They've also got a quarterback that can run, much like Buffalo did. So be interesting to see. The 3.5s get tagged with juice, but there is still some 3 minus 120 out there currently on the Ravens. Pritch, let's move over to the NFC. San Francisco 49ers, Detroit Lions, some 6.5 or some 7 with juice now. San Francisco lane, 51, pretty much the consensus total. Both teams slow starts, but Lions big finish today, and then San Francisco, they hung on for dear life. So I'm curious what you think when you look at this number at first. Do you think that the 49ers kind of got their scare yesterday? Because sometimes we see that in the playoffs. You get your scare, and then the next game, you come out more ready for bear. So do you anticipate that's happening with San Francisco here?
Yeah, maybe a little bit of a scare, maybe a little bit of a wake-up call, but Purdy looked shaky. He put it together on one drive, and that's really all it took to win the game. But throughout that whole game, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I was thinking Kyle Shanahan might be looking for another quarterback at that point because he was inaccurate. He was timid. Those balls were so weakly thrown, too. It was not thrown with authority. But maybe this is a wake-up call for Brock and say, look, you got to be better, especially if we're going to throw the ball. We can't always run it. But here's the thing, Wes and Dave. I think both of these teams are identical. It's the same system, right? And they want to do the same things. They want to run the football and do play action. Which quarterback's hotter right now? I think Jared Goff is playing tremendous football. The only thing is, can you trust Aaron Glenn and that Detroit Lion defense, right? Against this offense, against the same offense that they employ. That's hard right there. This is a tough number to lay for me because one of the things I discovered this season is scoring is so tight, and teasers have been great for me this year. But I noticed that scoring is so tight, and then you throw in familiarity, then you throw in knowledge of the system. And now it comes down to playmaking ability, right? And so if you look at the roster for Detroit and those playmakers on that side of the ball, and then look at the offense of San Francisco, I don't know if there's a 6.5 point difference between McCaffrey and Ayuk and maybe Debo, maybe not, and Kittle versus Laporta, Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, that right there is formidable to me. So I think this is too wide at this point. We'll see what the market does with it, though.
Got about 90 seconds to go, Pritch. Does that lean you towards the over? I know it's the big number of 51 there with Detroit and San Francisco, but if you're going to get that over, Purdy's got to be better, right? And that's one of the reasons why it stayed under yesterday in San Francisco.
Right. So you know that they're going to dress up the running game if you're Detroit by formation, but they're running the same plays. but it's the exact same thing you do if you're Detroit and you practiced against it, certainly going back to training camp, right? So you're going to familiarize yourself with that scheme again in that way, and you're going to be comfortable with that. So, yeah, Dave, this spread is interesting to me, and I don't want to lean Lions yet because I do want to know about some injuries and things like that, but it just seems like the spread's a little bit wide right now.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.